Hello and welcome back to part 3. Now we're going to look at pastel filters. And as such we are going to get each of the three prime colors, and then we're going to modify them by dividing by 2, and then I chose to add some brightness to it to make the image more clearer. And then we set a threshold so they can become more black or white than possible, and then we equal them to their respective color channel. And the result is as such. Very pale image. Yeah, I guess there's not much more to say about it. That's pastel. Now, next we're going to look at is color detection. And the assignment was specific about that it had to be pink. Well, can't deny them that satisfaction. So yeah, we are going to again define red, green and blue, and then we're going to take the new pixel value for red, and then we're going to define some condition for it. So to say if is red is bigger than green plus 90, and red is bigger than B minus 20, then it'll be either white or black. And I found it to be a very decent condition to single out pink value. And then we take that condition and add it to our video changed. And the result is as such. Yeah, apparently a little bit of my chin there is pink, and perhaps a little bit of my nose, I don't know. But what I know is pink are these. Look at that. Oh, yeah, and I can see I'm making a commercial now for Beyond Ball. Not my intention, but it was the most pink-ish thing I could find. And it had to be a set of underpants. Go figure. Alright, and that's color detection. Next, we're gonna go for mean filter. Now, I've had some trouble with it. Apparently it crashes from some sort of random stuff, I can't really tell, but what we basically do is that we have some for loops that brings in every pixel, and then we have a float which transfer the values of the video changed after the kernel has been adjusted. And here we go through the kernel and apply the kernel value, which has been predefined up here, the standard float mean, or just mean filter kernel, whatever, sorry. And yep, we set the float to be equal to the kernel, which is then called upon here, and from there we have the sum equal to the video output. Let's see if it wants to work this time. Oh, there we go. See, it adds some blur effect to the video, and it also gives a little frame here. That's simply because that the kernel can't work on the very edge of the image, and the bigger the kernel, the huger the frame it'll create, because it can't interact with that particular pixel. So if to say that you have 3 times 3, there'll always be 1 pixel from the edge that it can't modify. And the same thing when you have a kernel of 7.7, then it'll be unable to interact with 3 pixels away from the edge of your image or video feed. And so it's going to create an even larger frame. Now we're gonna apply this little beauty, and we've called it kernel 2. So we have a kernel number for each of our specific kernels, and it's basically the same thing. It's just it's a kernel disk. We're gonna switch up back to it again. There we are. You can see why it's a disk is because that there are zeros rather than all are just 1. So to say that it creates a disk-ish shape of 1s, which is going to modify on our image. Yeah. And let's see how this fares. Hopefully it's gonna go all well. Looks like it. And you can see we get even more blur and a larger frame. So that's basically it. But it's the same procedure really for more or less all the filters. You go through the pixels and then have the color added, then you take the sum, or you define a sum, and then you go into the kernel channel, which is defined through its size, and as such you apply the kernel changes to your input and have it be equal to your sum, and then you transfer that value here to your video change, or your output. I just choose to call it video changed. Then we have the Gaussian, which is a particular little filter. I'll be honest, this is an example I found by default, otherwise I wouldn't have dared mess with it. But yeah. When used, it seemed to act as a Gaussian filter would, as far as I am concerned. But yeah, I think I'll better let you be the judge, and then you can make your decision from there. Doesn't seem to do anything much different than what usually is, but yeah. That's the Gaussian, and it is the kernel 3, so it should apply to the kernel 3. Yeah, so we didn't by mistake use the mean disk filter by mistake. Next, we're gonna go for this Sobel filter, and let's just remove some of those. There we go. Bad. Can have that. So it's basically that we first have our grayscale defined, and then we do basically the same thing. Aside, we are not using the color this time because we have already a predefined grayscale. So we have 2 for loops. We have our sum, Then we have our kernel, and then we apply the kernel's value to the gray scale and equal it to sum, and then take the absolute value of sum to be less than 70 to set a threshold that determines the video output. And we basically get... I made a mistake, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna use this anymore. I'm gonna use this. This is the right one. That is what happens if you don't do... Oh, sorry, I'm blabbering. Here is the right filter appliance. So yeah, sort of boundary detection, or it is a boundary detection. And I chose the vertical, if I'm not mistaken. Next, we're gonna have the prevet filter. It basically acts as the same thing, just has a different kernel value. And yeah, it's the same procedure. Get the grayscale, have our two for loops, the sum, and then we have this threshold that determines the video. So, yep, it's vertical. Sobel. I basically chose the vertical prevet as well. Calls. And let's see what happens. More or less get another edge detection. Whereas here though, I chose... no, I didn't choose anything. Well, let's just stop that, and I'm gonna show you what we can do. We change that, and then the black and white values are going to change. So we're gonna get a black background and white lines instead of the opposite, which was black stripes and white background. Well, and then we have our median filter. And I'm not quite sure whether we want... hang on a bit, I think I might have skipped something. No, I haven't, my bad. Hang on a bit, I'm gonna get some... If I can fix this properly. There we go. Well, you know, I think we're just gonna stop here, and then we're gonna end it in the final video. So, bye.